Hi, I'm Tina, and this is the Sisterhood Sleuths podcast created by Cathy Warshaw of Secret Societies and the Sisterhood Sleuths, where we don't just accept what we're told, we question it, because secrets are everywhere and curiosity is the key. So let me ask you something. When you see someone confident, what do you think? Do you think they have all the answers? That they're sure of themselves? That they don't question anything? That they just know? That's what most people believe. But what if it's not true? What if confidence is not about knowing everything? What if it's something else entirely? Because here's the truth. The most confident people are not the ones who know the most. They're the ones who trust themselves the most. And that changes everything. Let's slow this down. Think about a moment where you hesitated. You knew something, you felt something, but you didn't act. Not because you were wrong, because you weren't sure. You second-guessed yourself. What if I'm wrong? What if I misunderstood? What if I don't have enough information? So you waited. And in that waiting, you lost the moment. That's what lack of confidence looks like. Not a lack of knowledge, a lack of trust. Now imagine the same moment with someone confident. They don't have more information. They don't have more proof. But they trust what they see. They trust what they feel. So they act, not recklessly, clearly. That's the difference. Confidence is not about certainty. It's about trust. Now let's go deeper. Have you ever noticed how confidence changes how people see you? Two people can say the same thing. One is ignored, one is believed. Why? Because of how they said it. The certainty in their voice, the clarity in their tone, the way they hold themselves. That's confidence. And it influences everything. Now imagine Chloe in a situation. She doesn't know everything, but she trusts what she sees. So when she speaks, people listen. Not because she's louder, because she's clear. That clarity comes from trust. Now Lily is different. Her confidence isn't loud. It's quiet. She doesn't need attention. She doesn't need to prove anything. She observes, understands. And when she speaks, it matters. Because it's precise. That's another form of confidence. Not visible, but powerful. Now let's go deeper again. Confidence is often misunderstood. People think it means never doubting, never questioning, never hesitating. That's not confidence. That's overconfidence. And overconfidence misses everything. Because it stops observing. It assumes. And assumptions are dangerous. Now Gil understands this balance. He's confident. But he questions everything. Not because he's unsure, because he's aware. He knows something important. Confidence without awareness leads to mistakes. But confidence with awareness, that's power. Now let's bring this back to you. You felt this before. Moments where you knew something, but didn't trust yourself enough to act, and later, you realized you were right. That's the gap between awareness and confidence. And closing that gap changes everything. Because once you trust what you see, you stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing every detail. You move with clarity. Not perfect clarity. Enough. And that's all you need. Now let's bring in something important. Confidence is built, not given, not something you're born with, something you develop through experience, through observation, through trusting yourself, again and again, even when you're not 100% sure. That's how it grows. Now Yuki would approach this differently. She doesn't rely on emotion. She relies on systems. If something aligns, she trusts it. If it doesn't, she questions it. That's her confidence. Not in herself alone, in the process. Now May would take this deeper. She would ask, what supports this? Because confidence grows stronger when it's connected to understanding, not just feeling. Knowing why something makes sense. That's what builds real confidence. Now Aoife would remind you of something powerful. Confidence grows over time. Not in one moment, through patterns. Seeing, understanding, trusting, again and again, until it becomes natural. Now let's bring this back to you. You're starting to see more. You're noticing patterns. You're understanding situations. But now comes the real question. Do you trust what you see? Or do you still hesitate? Because that hesitation is the only thing holding you back. Not your ability, your trust in it. And once you start building that trust, everything changes. Because now, you don't just observe, you act with clarity, with intention, with confidence. In part 2, we go deeper into what breaks confidence and why even smart, aware people doubt themselves. Because understanding that is the key to strengthening it. Now, we go deeper. Because understanding confidence means understanding what breaks it. And this is where most people get stuck. It's not that they don't see clearly, it's that they don't trust what they see. Let's slow this down. Think about a moment where you noticed something. A detail, a pattern, a feeling that didn't align. And instead of acting, you paused. Not because you needed more information, because you doubted yourself. That moment, that's where confidence breaks. Not in what you see, in what you believe about what you see. Now let's go deeper. There are 3 things that weaken confidence, and most people don't even realize they're happening. The first is overthinking. You notice something, clear, simple, and then your mind starts adding layers. What if I'm wrong? What if I misunderstood? What if there's something I'm missing? And suddenly, what was clear becomes complicated. That's overthinking, not adding clarity, creating doubt. Now, Chloe doesn't do that. She notices something, and she holds on to that clarity. She doesn't rush to explain it away. She lets it exist because she knows something important. The first signal is often the most accurate. Everything after that is interpretation. Now, Lily would handle this differently. She doesn't fight overthinking. She organizes it. Instead of letting thoughts scatter, she asks, what do I actually know? Not what she assumes, not what she fears, what she knows. That question cuts through the noise and brings her back to clarity. Now let's go to the second thing that breaks confidence. External influence. What other people think, what other people say, what other people believe. Have you ever noticed something and then someone else dismissed it? It's nothing, you're overreacting. That doesn't matter. And suddenly, you question yourself. Not because your observation changed, because their opinion affected your trust. That's how confidence weakens. Not from within, from outside. Now, Gil understands this completely. He doesn't rely on external validation. He listens, but he doesn't let it override his awareness, because he knows something critical. Other people can be wrong. And if you constantly rely on their judgment, you lose your own. That's the balance. Listen, but don't surrender your clarity. Now let's go to the third thing, fear of being wrong. This is the biggest one, because it stops people before they even act. You see something, you feel something, but then you think, what if I'm wrong? And that question freezes you. Not because it's unreasonable, because it becomes the only thing you focus on. Now let's shift that. What if instead of asking, what if I'm wrong, you asked, what if I'm right? Feel that difference. One creates hesitation, the other creates awareness. Now, Yuki would approach this logically. Being wrong is part of the process. It's not failure, it's information. If something doesn't align, you adjust. That's how systems improve. That's how clarity builds. So fear of being wrong shouldn't stop you. It should guide you. Now let's go deeper again. Confidence doesn't come from always being right. It comes from trusting yourself, even when you're not. Because you know you'll adjust, you'll observe, you'll learn. That's real confidence. Now May would take this further. She would ask, what supports this? Because confidence grows stronger when it's connected to understanding, not just feeling. If you see something and you understand why it makes sense, your confidence increases. Now Aoife would expand this. Confidence builds through patterns, not one moment, many. Moments where you noticed something and it was right. moments where you trusted yourself, and it mattered. Those moments build, and over time, they create trust. Not forced, natural. Now let's bring this back to you. You're noticing more, you're seeing patterns, you're understanding situations, but sometimes you still hesitate. That's normal, because confidence isn't instant. It's built, moment by moment, choice by choice. Every time you trust what you see, you strengthen it. Every time you ignore it, you weaken it. That's the reality. And once you understand that, you can change it. Because now, you're aware of what's breaking your confidence. Overthinking, external influence, fear of being wrong. And awareness is the first step to control. Now you understand something most people don't. Confidence is not about knowing everything. It's not about never doubting. It's not about being right all the time. Confidence is about trusting yourself enough to move forward, even when you don't have every answer. That's the difference. Because most people wait. They wait for certainty, they wait for proof, they wait until everything feels clear. And by the time they act, the moment is gone. But confident people, they don't wait for perfect clarity. They move with enough clarity. That's the shift, from hesitation to action. Let's go back to that moment. You notice something, a detail, a pattern, a feeling that something doesn't align. Before, you might have paused too long, questioned yourself, doubted what you saw. Now, you still pause, but it's different. Not hesitation, awareness. You acknowledge what you see, you trust it, and then you decide. Not perfectly, clearly enough. That's confidence in action. Now imagine Chloe in this moment. She doesn't rush, she doesn't freeze, she moves. Maybe it's small. Asking a question, observing more closely, adjusting her approach. But she does something because she trusts herself enough to act. Now Lily's confidence looks different. She doesn't need to act quickly. She needs to act precisely. She takes what she sees and uses it at the right moment, in the right way. Because confidence isn't always fast. Sometimes it's patient. Now Gil turns confidence into control. Not control over others, control over himself. He doesn't let doubt take over. He doesn't let pressure rush him. He stays steady because he trusts his awareness, and that trust keeps him clear, even in difficult situations. Now let's go deeper, because here's what most people don't realize. Confidence changes how others respond to you. When you trust yourself, others feel it. Not because you say it, because you show it. In how you speak, in how you act, in how you hold your position. That changes everything. Because people respond to clarity, not perfection. And when you're clear, you become harder to question. Not because you're always right, because you're consistent. And consistency builds trust. Now let's bring in Yuki. Yuki doesn't rely on confidence as a feeling. She relies on confidence as a process. If something aligns, she trusts it. If it doesn't, she adjusts. That's her confidence. Not emotional, structured. And that makes it strong. Now May would take this further. She would ask, what supports my understanding? Because confidence grows stronger when it's connected to evidence, not just instinct, understanding. And when instinct and understanding align, confidence becomes powerful. Now Aoife would remind you of something important. Confidence builds over time, through patterns. Moments where you trusted yourself and it was right. Moments where you acted and it mattered. Those moments stack, and over time, they create something strong, not forced, natural. Now let's bring this back to you. You've learned to notice, you've learned to observe, you've learned to trust your instinct. Now, you're learning to trust yourself. And that changes everything, because now you don't stay stuck in hesitation. You don't overthink every detail. You move. Not perfectly, but clearly. And that clarity creates momentum. Now here's the truth. You will still doubt yourself sometimes. You will still question yourself. That doesn't go away. But it doesn't control you anymore, because now you recognize it and you move anyway. That's confidence. Not the absence of doubt, the ability to act despite it. And once you reach that level, you're no longer held back. You're no longer waiting. You're moving with awareness, with intention, with clarity. That's the transformation. From hesitation to trust, from doubt to action. And once you learn that, you carry it with you everywhere. In conversations, in decisions, in every situation you face. Because confidence is not something you have. It's something you build. And now, you know how. This week, your mission is called Trust the Clue. Pay attention to one moment where your instinct notices something before your mind explains it away. Maybe it's a conversation that feels off, a person acting differently than usual, a situation that doesn't fully make sense, a feeling that tells you to look closer. When that happens, don't ignore it. Pause and ask yourself, what did I notice first? Why did it stand out to me? Am I overthinking it? Or was my first observation clear? Then write down one moment where you almost doubted yourself, what your first instinct told you, and what happened after you paid attention. Your mission this week is not about being perfect. It's about learning to trust your awareness. Because confidence doesn't grow when you always know the answer. It grows when you learn to trust yourself enough to take the next step. And the more you practice that, the stronger your inner compass becomes. This is the Sisterhood Sleuths podcast, where confidence becomes your strength and awareness becomes your advantage. If this changed how you see yourself, how you trust yourself, how you act in moments that matter, then you're already growing, already stepping into a level most people never reach. And in the next episode, we'll go even deeper. Why people hide the truth and how to see through it. Until then, this is the Sisterhood Sleuth podcast, and I'm Tina, reminding you to stay curious, stay aware, and remember, secrets are everywhere. Curiosity is the key.
This episode was brought to you by Secret Societies and the Sisterhood Sleuths, an award-winning mystery adventure franchise featuring books, podcasts, music, educational programs, puzzles, and a global community for curious minds. Join the conversation with fellow sleuths right now in our official Goodreads Mystery Club. Learn more at sisterhoodsleuths.net.